Hey guys, how's it going? It's Jennings Couch here at Holywell Studio with another quick tutorial, and today I'm talking about live bass and how I record live bass into Pro Tools and some of the plugins that I might use. So let's jump straight into it. So I've got this drum pattern that I made in the last tutorial, and it sounds like this. So I'm gonna write a quick bass part. I'm not a bass player, but I'm gonna try my best, and let's see what we come up with. Sweet, so we have this simple bass part. It sounds good with the drum beats. Just recorded it in. This is what it sounds like dry, with no plugins, with no processing on it at all. So very dry, kind of boring. It's groovy, but kind of boring, and we can do a lot better with the sound. So first thing I'm going to do before using any plugins, very tedious and time consuming, but I like to cut out all the gaps in between the bass notes with all the slides and all the artifacts from the fingers. It's not necessary, it depends on the vibe you're going for. You can keep it really natural and organic, but for this kind of track where everything's really tight, I just want to take out some of those slides. I'm going to do that now and probably fast forward the video. Cool, so I've taken out some of the annoying artifacts and finger slides from the bass, and make sure to always fade in and out once you make edits like that on a clip. And on Pro Tools, it's Command F to bring up the fade window. Great, so now we're not going to have any clicks or pops or weird artifacts like that. And we can start focusing on the actual sound of the bass now. So first of all, it's pretty quiet, so I'm going to bump it up with a compressor. And my go-to compressor is the CLA2A by Waves. Cool, that's boosted the sound up a little bit. And then this is not going through any amp or anything like that. It just went straight into the interface. So I'm going to put some sort of amp on there. And of course we could go to like a guitar rig or something like that, or even these guitar amps here. But I've started using Sans amp, which is actually really, really great. It's a great substitute for an amp. So let's try and find a decent sound here. So I'm going to put a bit more crunch, a bit more drive. Bit too much drive, but sounds good. Okay, sweet. That's a rough sound, a rough idea. The next plugin I'm going to put on the bass track is R-Bass. And if you don't know about the R series plugins by Waves, they are amazing. You have R-Comp, R-Vox, R-Bass, and they just do amazing things. They're such simple plugins to use as well. So for this, I'm going to turn down the gain a little bit because I'm going to boost the intensity. And this is going to boost the intensity at around 80 Hertz frequency. So let's see what this sounds like. This is going to boost our low end quite a bit. Wow, so you can immediately see that we're clipping. You can see the red light here as well. So I'm going to turn that gain right down. Sweet, that sounds pretty good. Let's try with and without the R-Bass. So this is without. And with. Nice, so it's giving us kind of that sub-frequency kind of vibe, which is really cool. And that's all I'm going to put on the bass for now. But one other thing I like to do with the bass, sometimes, depending on the track, I like to duplicate the bass track. I'm going to get rid of the R-Bass, because on this other bass track, I'm going to cut the low frequencies and boost the high frequencies. And I might actually put this new track up in octave, and you'll see what that sounds like. It could be very interesting. I'm going to keep the Sans amp on now to give a bit of crunch, and I'm going to rename my track so I don't get confused. So this is going to be bass high, and this is going to be bass low. On bass high, I'm going to EQ out a lot of the low end, and just have that top crunch. Cool, so that's kind of the vibe I'm going for. I'm going to try, just for fun, I'm going to try putting this up in octave and seeing what it sounds like. There's different ways to put things up in pitch or down in pitch. In Pro Tools, I just use the elastic properties, but you could use any sort of pitch editor plugin or something like that. So here it is up an octave. Cool, so you're getting into that guitar kind of sound, which could complement the bass very well. Of course, you could just pick up the guitar and record it like that, but why not do this? So together, this is what they sound like. I'm just going to bring the high one down a little bit. Oh yeah, I'm liking that a lot. Wow, that's really elevated the track. And on the high bass, I'm going to put a modulation delay, which is going to make it a stereo track, and so you're going to have it in the headphones as stereo, which is great. But I'm only doing this to the high bass because I want to keep the low in the middle. And let's see how this sounds. Wow, I'm liking that a lot. The low bass is getting a bit lost for me, so I'm going to bump that up a little bit on the compressor and probably on the Sans amp as well. So basically what we've done is we've recorded a little bass part, we've processed the bass with the Sans amp, a compressor, and our bass, and then we've duplicated the bass track and pitched it up an octave. And we've made the octave up bass in stereo, so it's wide in the speakers, keeping the low bass in the middle. So we're getting that nice kind of surround engulfing vibe, which is sick and I think is really groovy. Awesome, so that's it. That's a really quick little tutorial of how I record live bass, some of the plugins I use, and yeah, some of the processing that I do to the bass. So if you have any questions, if you want to know anything else, leave a comment down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thank you guys. I'll see you for the next video.